In 2011, a research project with Aboriginal people from remote communities commenced to find out what a successful education means to them and how this could be achieved. The Remote Education Systems project was conducted by the Cooperative Research Centre for Remote Economic Participation. Managed and governed by NintiOne, at the core of the research is a system that centres on the development of relationships in communities crucial to the gathering of knowledge.
As Nelson Mandela said, education is a most powerful weapon that can change a world. This is an important message for us as Anangu or Indigenous people. But we must remember not to forget our strength that we already have in our spirit. We must carry our own power, identity with us, our language, our culture, as we move into the new world.
Researchers John Gunther, Sam Osborne, Samantha Disbray and Melody Batt work with Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people involved in remote education across 3 states. The research was conducted through surveys, meetings and interviews and took into consideration information about what had been said in the past in relation to remote education. The views of the community were gathered from 4 key research questions. The first asked, "What is education for?" A communal response was that Aboriginal people believed that education should build children's identity, their knowledge of their land, language and culture. Many commented that through education, children are better equipped for the future by being introduced to skills to meaningfully engage in and participate in employment and the economy in both worlds. The second question asked, "What does education success look like?" Many of the respondents considered that parent engagement and community involvement, academic achievement and attendance were strong signs of a successful education.
We know that language programs are an important way to connect families and schools for building partnerships. We know that schools are important places for children to learn their first and second language and culture. Warlpiri language as a future. It is important for building the future leaders of our communities. It is important for pathways to jobs. When children learn their language at school, in strong programs, we see better attendance. We want better attendance, but not just attendance. We want our kids to come to school for strong learning.
Attendance has been the focus of many initiatives for remote education, and it is no doubt important. However, 2 interesting findings from this study relate to attendance. It seems that focusing on attendance alone actually doesn't deliver improvement. This research shows that in non-remote schools, there is a strong relationship between attendance and literacy and numeracy learning, as shown by results in the NAPLAN tests. But in very remote schools with over 80% Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander enrolment, there is very little difference in NAPLAN results between schools with high and low attendance. We really need to look at what brings children into schools and what keeps them there and helps them achieve strong learning. Over 1,000 comments relate to the third research question. How does teaching need to change to achieve success? Almost half of the responses suggested that the curriculum needs to be relevant to Aboriginal children living in remote communities. The idea of red dirt curriculum has come from this, and it proposes curriculum that draws on local knowledge and experience for programs in the language arts, along with red dirt science, ecology, history, commerce and legal studies. Over 85% of Aboriginal children in very remote schools speak English as an additional language or dialect, and many participants in the research believed that teachers need to be skilled to teach children English language as the basis for English literacy and other learning. Learning in and through first language was also considered to be important, and so local teachers in classrooms are needed not only for the education, but for the well-being of Aboriginal students. Health and well-being were also identified as factors for schools and teaching programs, along with relationships between teachers and students, local staff and non-local staff, and the school and community.
We can change the way the children think and understand by changing the way we teach. We mustn't keep doing the same things. If we teach a lesson and the child doesn't learn, we need to try to teach the lesson different way.
The final question this research asked: what responses are needed from the education system? Answers generally centred on partnerships, parent and community influence over, and involvement in education. Some people suggested that there was a need for more options for secondary education, and many wanted young people to be able to choose to complete some or all of their secondary schooling in their own community. Other responses indicated a desire for different options for education away from home, including boarding in cities, but also exchange-type programs so that young people can spend time away in the city and back in their community. Aboriginal people don't see their world or education in their communities as characterised by a gap. They see their languages, cultures, and their involvement as strengths to improve education for their children. The strongest message to emerge was the need to include these voices and aspirations in the design and delivery of education.
With the family activity involved in children's education and making strong decisions at the local level, and we'll see positive changes in our children's education. We hope at this time, when change is coming, you will all listen to us. You will sit and work with us in partnership so we can give our children the best life possible.
For further information about the Remote Education Systems Project and the CRC for Remote Economic Participation, material is available online or contact us direct.